Yeah, yeah, whoopin' ends. We back with another one for the youths in them. Yeah, young, brilliant minds, future in sight. Got the power to make change, make the world ignite. Let nobody say you can't achieve your dreams are seeds. So and just watch them grow. But you gotta believe in the youth effect. We're raising up the youth effect. Can't hold us down. The youth effect, we breaking ground, the youth effect. They gonna hear us roar. Educate, we get the key, unlock the potential. A lesson every day, knowledge essential. Standing tall, walking proud, let your voice be heard. Unite together as one, spread the love with every word. The youth effect, we're raising up, the youth effect. Can't hold us down. The youth effect, we breaking ground, the youth effect. They gonna hear us roar. Educate, we get the key, unlock the potential. A lesson every day, knowledge essential. Standing tall, walking proud, let your voice be heard. Unite together as one, spread the love with every word. The youth effect, we're raising up, the youth effect. Can't hold us down. The youth effect, we breaking ground, the youth effect. They gonna hear us roar. Create, initiate, push through, no limits. Go ahead and live it up. Respect, positivity, you on your way. Break down walls, build bridges. Yeah.
Good evening, good evening, good evening. I've missed you guys. It's another Monday, and we are talking about the main character syndrome. Healthy confidence or delusion. Like, what is Kathy talking about? But I want to thank you for being here with us. I want to say happy Easter, which just passed, to those of you who celebrate it. And I'm hoping that you had a wonderful Easter break. For those of you who are kids, you must be happy they're back in school. So all that is about the kids. What is a main character? What is main character syndrome? And about healthy confidence or delusion. I mean, all of us have experienced it. Let me give you a scenario. That one is for the kids. I'll give another one for the adults soon. You walk into school and the hallway parts like you're in a movie. You know, like all the lights are different lights are on you, and everyone's an extra. You're the main character. As we say in the Caribbean, you're the starring. All right, right. The playlist that is going on, the music is in your head. It's your own personal soundtrack. The question is that confidence, or are we all just making life a TikTok where everyone else is NPC? Okay, I dropped a couple words there that we're not familiar with. And that's the whole point, right, of the youth effect. We're understanding the palette of the young generation. And we'll be surprised to see that it's the same thing as what we did. They all mean the same things, same context, but different words. Let us look into that. What main character is. What was talking about main character energy. Oh, it's all about me. All right. So, main character syndrome. Let me explain what it is on main character energy. The term came from TikTok in 2020, where it was like about romanticizing your life, fantasy, believing you have agency. We'll talk about what agency is. Agency is also being proactive in your life. All right. And seeing your story as meaningful. This is what's happening. So what lesson do I get from it and how do I manage it? That's what agency is. Psychologists call this the narrative identity, okay, where you see yourself as the protagonist, the protagonist in your own story, and it increases resilience, goal setting, and motivation. It's literally how we make sense of life. And the protagonist in a story is the main character. All right. The setting and everything is around the main character. The stats now we're talking about in 2023, a study was done on teens that showed self-authorship. It was tied to low anxiety and was acting like the main character can pull you out of depression spirals, because we do know that the teenage years where they're developing who they are, figuring out who they are, where they belong, their identity basically. There are a lot of depression that goes on with it. And the next generation doesn't understand. Oh, you're just always in your room. Or you're always upset. You're always this. But we have to see it for what it is and tap into the resources that we have to be able to understand them so we can give them the emotional support that they need. In turn, helping them to be the people, the person who they need to be or who they really, really are. Okay. What kind of pop culture we're seeing this thing about main character energy? It talks about in Barbie movies where the young people look at the Spider-Verse, look at every coming of age story. We're all wired for this. We all have our own way we have interpreted this. Okay. So yes. The other scenario I'm going to give you is this. You get before, let me put it in the man or woman, it can fit any of us. We're going to get to an event. We're going to an event. And in our head, it's a group of people who we need to make an impression on. It could be to work, it could be a wedding, it could be a reception, it could be a birthday, it could be a play, a community event. But however, we want to make, when we step in, we want to be the main event. We want to make an impact when we step in. So we go and we start looking for clothes, the socks, if we're going to put socks, if we're not putting socks, what shoes, the pants or the skirt or the dress. We spend how much time searching what we have to look for on Amazon or all these other shopping sites to get that perfect outfit. If the guy is wearing a tie to work or just a jacket, a sports jacket, if I wear, a little hat or what kind of hat it is, what color for women particularly. We have to have that perfect color. How are we doing our makeup? Is it a night setting? Is it a day setting? Does it have to be bright? Or does it have to be certain neutral? The accessories we're going to put with it. Is it minimalistic or are we going for all the way out? So when we step in, all eyes will be on us. And when we step in, we are imagining or we're thinking everybody's looking at us. So what is this? Are we the main character? Is this confidence? Or is this delusion? Is this positive main character energy? Or does the world revolve around me? And that's what main character syndrome is. The world revolves around me. And there is a definite difference between the two, where someone can be full of confidence and another one can be, everything is about me. It could be, I don't want to go to the term of being a narcissist. That is going to extreme. But it has some little bit of those traits hanging in there. Okay. So tonight it'll be me alone talking about this. And it is very, very interesting. Well, not me alone. You all are there. And wherever you are looking or being a part of this, whether it's on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, SBE, Radio, Caribbean, I want TDN, whichever platform you're listening to, even on Spotify, I want to thank you very, very much for tuning in and being part of our community, being part of this village that we have been developing to be a conduit for the young people to express themselves, to develop their own narrative, and to claim their narrative and be able to go out there with confidence, at same level of confidence which we're talking in today. But we really want it to be a positive thing as opposed to be just a fantasy in their head that brings it to a dead end mark, right? So we are going to actually break down each part of the words that I mentioned. I mentioned NPC. Let me tell you, I had to do my research on these things too, because I'm like, I was doing my research for a topic and then like it just totally turned around in terms of the lingo of the new people. And I had to study it for me to be able to understand. And I'm reading some of the things that I was preparing. I'm like, I have heard my girls say that, but I just gave it no mind. But you'll be surprised how important it is to give those things some mind. Okay? So let us go into what main character energy actually is. So I spoke about what the definition of main character energy when it came from TikTok in 2020. And so you see how long TikTok has been there. TikTok has been there for quite a while, but it's after between COVID time, it just really blew up. Just like when we were using Zoom, people hardly used Zoom before, but when seasons and periods blow up different things, when there is a need for it and there is a want. So that's what came out of TikTok at that time. And as I said, psychologists call it the narrative identity. Narrative is story. Identity is what you think of yourself, who you believe you are. So it's creating your story, creating the story of your life, basically creating the life as you want it to be. All right. Excuse me. It's allergy season again, people. So excuse me. It actually is very good. So not good. Not good. So the tail. Let's talk about when it flips over now to delusion. Remember we say confidence or delusion? Yeah, let's look at the other part of it. If everyone else becomes an NPC, you stop listening. Empathy drops and you assume your problems matter more than everybody else. Scenario. We meet a friend. Hi, how are you today? How are you doing? Friend said, I'm good, And then they started telling you a little bit about what happened because you did ask them what's going on, how they are. But every time they say something, you come up with, that happened to me yesterday. This happened to me. I know somebody who did this, and I did this. We are turning this story to focus on us, as opposed to be totally centered on the person who wants to share with us. We do that a lot. It's a natural thing that comes to us, and we have to be really in deep awareness to refrain from doing that. Allow the person to speak, allow the person to share, because it's important for all of us to talk about ourselves, right? And we'll come down to seeing what an NPC is. It was interesting when I found out myself, because okay. And it's things that we talk about, because I'll come back to the because about the been observing a similar theme going on with my circles with regards to basically that. NPC, main character energy, main character syndrome, And what fuel this in social media? The algorithms reward the loudest, not the kindest. The main character becomes the main content. You go to a show or an event, a party, and there is someone who always wants to be the center of attention. They have to be the loudest. They have to talk over everybody. They have to do all the kind of extraordinary feats that the attention can come back to them. Sometimes loudness is not necessarily vocals, it can be in actions as well. And we see it on social media every day. The people who are the most harshest, rawest, always have the biggest following of views, because it's a natural tendency of the human nature to want to know what somebody that's doing that's bad. Don't ask me why. We always want to know. We criticize it, but we want to see it. And that's where the algorithm is set. So a lot of times we're doing something, we're honest, we're no way, and we don't get follows, we don't get likes, and then you get frustrated and say, I might as well go be the bad girl, But no, keep on doing what you're doing. In the real world, friends get tired of being extras, which is what an NPC is, right? Friends get tired of being extras in your story. You miss red flags because the main characters don't fail. Entitlement creeps in. I'm your friend. And in terms of entitlement, in normal day-to-day lingo, we call it being taken advantage of or taken for granted. All right? And it's always what you want to do. It's always what they want to do. They want to do this. And if you want to do something different, you are the villain in this. You become the villain in this story. You become, what is wrong with this girl? They turn on you. All right? They chastise you. They make you feel guilty. They gaslight you. All right? And what the other part they call about a cringe. So cringe check, cringe is like, oh, it doesn't make you feel good. It's like, oh, if what I could do, you clench your teeth, you feel upset. If you ever thought this would be a great TikTok during someone else's bad day, we need to talk. We definitely need to talk. Excuse me, There's this young lady walking down the road with a nice little dress and everything else. And the wind blows and her skirts rises. But instead of helping her to put it down, you take your first thing to do is take your camera. Let me bring it home even more vividly. It may be a little bit goric, but we have accidents all the time. And instead of someone helping the victim, what do? Pull out the phone and we start videoing. Sometimes even before we call the ambulance or someone to help. Then we need to talk. Then this becomes very, very serious because now you are putting yourself as the main character, because if you're thinking, if I put this out there, I'm gonna get a lot of followers, I'm gonna get a lot of likes. It's about you. It's not really about the victim. So you see, it's a lot of things in our day-to-day life that we do not have the words for it, but it exists. And it's only when someone brings it up to our attention, or let me say awareness, because something can be brought up to our attention and we still haven't placed it within our awareness where we act on it. All right. To develop an awareness for something is to be intentional about how you use the information that you have been provided with, how you use the emotions that's going on in your world or around you to the benefit of you and others around you. Okay. Sometimes the benefit could be good and it could be bad. It depends what kind of person you are. Non-judgmental here. You do you. But I'd hope that it will be for the good of other people. But when we get to the middle now, coming back to main character energy and main character syndrome, so we spoke about the main character as the protagonist, who is the main person in the story. We talk about being either is it confidence or is it being delusional, where the world revolves around you. Now that is two extremes. How do we bring it to the middle? Excuse me. So when we're talking about the main character, we're talking about not the only character, as opposed to being delusional. Remember, we spoke about that, and it says the world revolves around you, so everything is about you. But if you're in balance and you're in the middle, which will be healthy, you are the main character, you are the protagonist, but you are aware that there are other people and other things that feed into your world as well. It's not only about you, and you're not the only character in the story. You're not the only actor on the stage, because it takes a whole group of actors to make a plot. It takes a whole group of actors to create the storyline and to allow the story to unfold. It's never about one person. Okay? So romanticize responsibly when you come to be having a healthy middle. You make your coffee, walk to school, you journal. That's you directing your scene, not interrupting a friend crying to film her crying. Oh, this would make a great shot. Okay, I do that sometimes when things are going on, but not at the expense of someone's distress. Always about a good thing I always want to capture. All right. But you're going to work, you're going to school, you're writing your journal, and you're thinking about what is going on around you or about your life, basically. And then a friend is crying, trying to talk to you or trying to share something, or you see an accident across the road. And the first thought that comes to you, that will make a good vlog. That will make a good IG post. That will make a great Facebook post, and all the other social platforms that exist that I don't know about, but we know they're on X as well, formerly called Twitter. So in case of that, if someone is crying and you're thinking to yourself, who is the main character here? It's in my life, but it's me, yes. But in their story, it's them. They're the one who's crying. You can be the lead in your story and be supportive of your best friend in their story. Here we go. We have balance. You're still the main character in your story. Nothing or nobody can take that away from you. But by supporting others, you develop that healthy balance in your life. Sorry. Now, let's look at something they call else. When I taught permanently in school, Little boys particularly would always do this, make a, L. It's L, yes, L. And children would come crying, Missy, she gave me the L. So at first I didn't know what the L is. I said, okay, just ignore him. But that in their lingo meant loser. So you don't have to see, so some gestures, everything is about communication. It doesn't have to be word, it can be silence, it can be. So telling someone that they're a loser, not in jest, but as being a bully, we all know how that feels, because at some point in all of us lives, we have felt like, I feel like a loser at this point in my life. I felt I was a loser when this happened, you know? So the young people use that to bully, to convey a message to someone that you're not worth it. Okay? So, but main characters take L's. And from that, the L's are the losses. We're supposed to learn and grow from it. That's the lessons. So instead of taking a loss or loser, it's a lesson. Okay? So that was the lesson in my story. I had this traumatic event. What is the lesson from it? And we'll come down to a little bit later of what term they use for a traumatic event that we can learn and grow from. Let me tell you, those young people's words and lingo and language is extremely, extremely interesting. And it actually makes sense, okay? So delusion is thinking the script guarantees that you win. They're never losers. Even though it's obvious to everybody that something didn't go in their favor, they will turn it to say, this was a win for me. Okay? Confidence, however, confidence is knowing you'll adapt if you don't win. Okay? But someone who is delusional, who the world navigates around and everything is about them, they believe that everything is about winning and they will win. There's nothing in there that's going to say that they failed at anything. But not that anything is wrong with failing, because it's in failing that we learn the lessons of how to be successful. Everything has its polar opposite. And you fail, you win. If we've never failed, we do not know what it is to win. Okay? We do not know what success is if we never lose. All right? So, and it's through all these little trials that we learn what not to do next time. Okay? So it brings us to higher and higher steps. And through that, in learning the lesson, our independence and our confidence and our resilience is developed. As we go down to the end of the day, I will throw out a challenge to you all, okay? But for now, let's just continue. So we spoke about NPC. Now remember what the topic is. I know I'm saying throwing out a lot of things there. Main character syndrome, confidence or delusion. Main character syndrome, confidence or delusion. If we put it in some terms of medical terms, whenever we hear syndrome, we're thinking of an illness, right? Exactly. Something must be wrong. So there are signs that showing that something must be wrong. And earlier on, I mentioned I'm the main character. Are everybody supporting actors or are they NPCs? An NPC is a non-player character. It came up from the gaming world. Okay, it's a gaming term that blew up on TikTok and social media. A lot of the young children like to play games. No, my girls, they play what they call that thing? Those Game Boys things, and they do Minecraft and they do what's that island thing they develop? Anyway, they have their own little islands. I cannot understand why I forget it now, This gadget thingy. And they make their islands, and there are little people on these islands, but they only have one script. Hello, what can I do for you today? They only have one script. It is all about you, okay? In video games, the NPCs, any character that is not controlled by the player. So they are settings, they are really just placed in there. And For example, there would be a museum and there would be the curator in the museum. So when they open the door, enter into the museum, it says, "Hello, what can I do for you today? What piece of art would you like to do today?" But they'll be saying the same thing every time you come in. There is no conversation. It doesn't evolve into any dialogue whatsoever. So is random people also walking around, random people. And as I mentioned, they follow the simple scripts. "Hello, how are you? How may I help you? What would you like today at my store?" They don't have their own story. They exist just to move your story forward, which is a perfect, that game thing I'm thinking, which is the only one probably I know, where they build their islands, is the perfect thing, because they go also, it tells them, they go into the shop, they buy things for their houses, they order things. Create a whole new world. So that's what an NPC is. So if I am something that is totally thinking about myself and the narrative is about me, excuse me, I would be dismissive of anything someone tells me that I did that disturbs them, that affected them, that hurt them. I'm like, whatever. And you go on, you have the, you present an aura, an energy that of being non-empathetic, of people, that it's about me and it's about me alone. However, let her check her own sin, but is that really what we want to teach? But anyway, that's come back to another story. Let's stay on point. Excuse me. So, oh my goodness, you ever know that you wanted to feel like you want to do a little burp and it's just not coming out at all? That's what's been happening right now. So, main character syndrome. Is it confidence or is it delusion? We've spoken what confidence is versus what delusion is. We've spoken of what a protagonist is and that we are the person and the main character in the story. We've spoken with regards to, as well, it can go to the left or it can go to the right. Talk about confidence, or it can be extreme to the other end, which an extreme would be being a narcissist. And now we're talking about NPCs, sidekick, not even a sidekick, because sidekicks have a purpose, like Robin and, was he the little guy? Robin Hood and what? Batman and Robin. Robin was Batman's sidekick, right? He still was an essential part in Batman's story. But sometimes there are people just to serve you. The other day I was at a school, and then there was this it was a grade 5, and did I have it correct? No, I'm wrong. It was middle school, so it was like grade 7, grade 6. It was grade 6. This young girl, her things are on the table. It's time for them to go to another class. But she's asking this other friend of hers, "Could take this for me. Take my pen for me. My pencil just fell down. Pick it up." And she's standing up there and she's doing her face and everything else. I told her, "No, don't. You're not picking it up for her. You pick up your own thing." She was treating her that she was there to help her with her story. She was a nobody. She was just there to aid her story. And of course, it's not necessarily biasness, but it's something we see a lot in our culture. I'm sure if I ask you to describe the one who were giving the orders, you'll know exactly who to describe, person, outside appearance, and the one that was battering to those needs, you'll be able to tell. I'm not going to, I leave that for your imagination, but it's just suits the main script as we always see it. Calling someone an NPC means saying they act like background characters in your life. They are there to serve you. They are there to help your story. When you talk about having no agency, it's just to go along with trends, never have any original thoughts. So also, we use the term agency as being proactive, as I mentioned, to having some level of purpose. She has no agency. She has no sense of direction as to what her life is about. She's just going about life as whatever happens, I'm just going with it. It's different to going with the flow. Going with the flow is being in mindful awareness of what's going on and how you allow yourself intentionally to go with it. Having no agency means you're just, the words are just so missing me tonight that you're haphazard. You just, life comes, life goes, and say, oh, I just live in life the way it comes. I just live in life. With an NPC, as I mentioned earlier, remember it just says yes, it stays on script. It's very predictable in what it's going to say. Good day, welcome to my store. How may I help you? Would you like to buy this? It's $5 for this. It doesn't say anything different. It doesn't go off script at no point in time. And I'm saying script because I'm assuming that you understand what I mean by script. But script is the dialogue that you set yourself out for. All right? It's called a script. Say, live, laugh, and love. It is what it is. And that is the only thing that they will say. Same opinions as everyone. They don't go, they don't feel, there is no going to being different. Maybe I should say. You have to be part of the crowd. There is no self-awareness. Remember, I mentioned they are not self-aware at all. Don't question anything. They just follow the crowd. So someone who is considered an NPC, they have no agency. I mean, like, it seems like they have no purpose to do anything. They're not proactive at all. They're just a follower. And they have no self-awareness at all of what's going on with them. They don't question anything. They just accept what is given to them, what is told to them, and they just do like a robot. So let me give a little example on what I just said. He only wears what TikTok tells him and repeats whatever his friend group says. Total NPC behavior. So that is how you will hear it with the young people. That's total NPC behavior. And as adults, we see it too. We have that person in the office that agrees with everything a particular person says. They never disagrees. They always following, and that's what it means by an NPC. Basically, a follower, no self-identity, in the lack of self-awareness, and afraid of being different. Afraid of, not even afraid, because they just know about being a follower. That's it. Want to be part of the crowd. But why do people use it now? Let us tie it in with our main character syndrome. If you're the main character, everyone else risks feeling like an NPC. But it depends on how you use your energy. If you're using it as having the world rotate around you, or if you're going to use it as a form of confidence in terms of defining your narrative, defining your life and your story, and fulfilling your purpose. But in reality, no one is really an NPC. That's how we look at it, and that's how we characterize, or that's how we label people based on their characters, based on their personality, based on their behavior. I should more say behavioral. Because actually, everybody's the main character of their own life. Using NPC is really in terms of using it as an insult to someone, where it says that NPC is an insult, usually says more about the person who's saying it than the person they're talking about. So if you say, well, that's total NPC behavior. Like we always say, when somebody says something or do something to another person, it's really about them. And that is one of the things, if we just swerve up to the side and we look at when people do things, or what they say, don't take things personal, because a lot of it, behavior that's directed towards you, a lot of things that are directed or said to you, it's really not about you, but it's about the person. It's about their experiences. It's about what they are going through, and they're projecting the anger, they're projecting whatever it is towards you. So a lot of times we take it personal, and it's hard work not to take it personal, because sometimes people say things that trigger our own experiences and make us have a meltdown or a moment. Okay, but it's really not about us. So when people insult us, or when somebody calls somebody an NPC, it's really about them. It's not about you. And that's why we say the main character is not only character line works, it calls out the delusion part. So it's the main character, but you're not the only character. All right. So that's where the disparity is, where you can have this main character syndrome where the world revolves around you, everything is about me, 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 me. And then there is the confident part where you are the main character in your story, as you should, but there are other supporting actors, the supporting cast, to help you in creating your narrative. Does that make sense to you? If you think about it, do you think that makes sense? I've said so much and I've spoken so much and said so many things. Excuse me. But I will keep on mentioning the main character syndrome as opposed to the main character. And the main character has supporting actors. You know, you can get a Grammy in your story. You should get a Grammy in your story. All right. But because there are supporting actors, supporting people in your network to help you become all that you can be. So here's the vibes. Here's the rest of the slang that's in that trending family of Gen Z right now. Oh, it's so juicy, so interesting. So we talk about they have, and I will put all of them in context for us. The Roman Empire talks about Delulu. My daughters were giving me some things the other day too, and it makes sense, because if you listen to the words and you break them down, it's also like when we're doing vocabulary in high school or in primary school, where they always say there is a word that you do not know or do not understand, a new word in your vocabulary. Look at the roots of the word. My mind brings me back to Mrs. Tulo in high school. Look at the root of the word, and if you even go into your dictionary, it tells you whether the root word is Greek, Hebrew, German. You know, it tells you the Greek word, and from knowing the meaning of the root word, you can figure out the rest. It works almost the same way. When do we hear about the Roman Empire, what comes to mind? Colonization, glamour, right? As well as the Roman Empire, they also indulge a lot within their own obsessions and desires. Greatly, there's a lot of gluttony and waste, and about egocentric, very, very egocentric society. So it speaks to your random obsession you think about constantly. What's your Roman Empire? Is what lives in your head rent free. So if you have that person at school or at work that's giving you angst, and you're forever talking about them, and it's all about them. You come home, you're talking about them. You go out on the thing to have a good time, you're talking about them. Everything is about them. You've heard that term, right? They're living in your head rent free. They don't worry with you. They're going about their life. They are going on about their life, but we allow them to trigger us in every situation of our lives. So they become our Roman Empire. They have colonized our mind. They have taken over our whole system. So that is our Roman Empire. Remember that for the test after, okay? Delulu now. What would you think Delulu is? Delulu. It sounds very familiar, similar to a word we spoke of earlier. Yeah. Well, let me see. Is it happen to be delusion? Yeah, exactly. Delusion. So delulu is short for delusional. Okay, and it's a kind of a mix of delulu is the solulu. So if you say delulu is delusional, what do you think solulu is? Is solution. How does that make sense though? Delulu is the solulu. It kind of sounds nice, but the children will tell you don't say it because you're too old to be using that terms, those terms. This is for the adults out there. This is just for your information so that you won't be taken off, led astray by the lingo. Don't go using it, they will laugh at you. But it's good to know, to understand them, to be able to meet them at their levels. The lulu is a solulu. I know I'm going to say to my girls, they're going to laugh at me. Really, mommy? Please don't do that. But what does that mean? It says also being a little delusional is the solution to getting what you want. It's a main character cope. In time, so let us put it in quote unquote or the generation lingo. How can being delusional provide a solution to getting what we want? We might call it visualization. We might call it affirmations. We might call it being a dreamer but setting vision goals. You see how it is on par with where we are at as well? Being delusional is not taken as the medical term where you go off on a tangent and you experience mental breakdowns and things like that, or you're just picking out of term and you're living a different fantasy world. Okay, it's having dreams, it's having a vision of something and working towards it. So that is what they mean in their terms, how they have redefined delusional to be. Okay, I think they really need to make a new dictionary. We've added meanings, and I think there are some dictionaries that have added Gen Z definitions to words and terms. There's another term called glaze or glazing. I hope you have your book to write this down. So far, we've spoken about the Roman Empire. We've spoken about the Roman Empire is whatever you give rent-free, 24-hour rent-free space in your head, always thinking about obsessing over them. We spoke about delulu, which is short for delusional, okay, and which means also, so lulu is a solution to something. Now we're on to glaze or glazing, glazing, glaze or glazing. It's about overhyping someone. You know, when you're beefing up someone, it's like, okay, you're really going over the top to compliment that person. That's what we're talking about. So they'll say, subglazing him, he's mid. What does that mean? Mid is opposite of main character energy if you're doing it to others. Okay, so we'll go down to what mid is. Stop glazing him. You know, you have so what do we do when we glaze? What is the meaning or the real definition of glaze? Everybody in the Caribbean, or all Caribbean people, we know what it is to glaze a ham. You brush that with the honey and you stick in the clove and you put in pineapple over it. You glaze it with sugar, mixture with sugar as well. You are glazing. You are glazing. But when you glaze, what is the purpose of glazing? To amp it up, to make it look better, to make it look more appetizing, to make it more, because the first sense that is used in attraction is the eyes. All right? The eyes, I should say, sorry. And when we see something, it begins to appeal to us. We start to salivate. No, the food is not only, and that is why chefs prepare food in all different tastes, designs and stuff on the plate, because it makes it more palatable. It makes us want to eat it more. And whenever they fix it like that, we eat more than what we want sometimes because it just looks ready for the eating. So that's what glazing does. And it does the same thing. It beefs up and amps up somebody else's ego. That's basically what it does. Beef them up. Compliment and compliment and compliment. That is really sometimes like, okay, please just chill out a bit on that. When we talk about aura, Your aura is the energy field around you, which we normally talk about, right? But it's your vibe, it's the confidence, it's what people feel when you are around you. Okay, you give off good vibes, you give up bad vibes. If somebody's just complaining, you call someone, the person just complaining about this, but this is not done right. Look at that person in front there. Look at, why did she come out with this? The music is not right. The energy is just so low, it dampens everything around you, right? So when somebody is like that, hear how the kids say it. Bro, you lost aura, What does that mean? You took an L and it looks bad. You took an L and it looks bad. You took a loss. So what you're trying to do is you failed at it and it looks bad. I also say plus 1,000 aura, which would be a main character move. So you say as plus 1,000, say yeah, you where it should be. Because also being the main character in your story or in somebody else's, you want to be in somebody else's story. You want to know you above par to everybody else, right? And the one thing I wanted to share when I spoke to about trauma and what a traumatic event is, and there is another name for it. Okay, this one blew me out, which is also a play on the word. It's a canon event. Finally came out. A canon event. What is a canon? Go by, those of us in Dominica, go by Fort Young, we'll see two cannons there, as well as by the cross on the Morn. There is a cannon pointing over the Roseau Bay. That was what they used to defend the city. Okay? And how do they defend? They put the cannonball in and they light it at the other end, and it shoots off to attack the enemy, to blow it up, create now another event, right? To defend themselves. In this lingo, what this canon event is. So if you can always really get a general context clues of what the word means, it gives you an idea of how it is being used. So a canon event is something that is extremely painful. It's a traumatic event, but necessary, that has to happen for your character to develop. Okay? From the Spider-Verse thingy, it says, failing that test was my canon event. Going through Hurricane Maria was a canon event for many of us. Putting it in context to those of us who survived the Category 5 Hurricane Maria, where we lost a lot of things, but it brought what? It brought growth, it brought resilience. For a lot of us, it brought new directions, it brought new networks. We're still standing. I'm still standing. Yeah, yeah, yeah. We're still standing. Yeah. So that is a canon event, a traumatic event that allowed us to come into our own, that brought new opportunities and new things to us. Okay. So that's what a canon event is. Oh, today is we're in class 101. Class 101. So let's go back over the words that we've learned today that is going to support what we spoke about in terms of the main character event. We spoke about the Roman Empire. That is the people or things we are obsessed about that lives rent-free in our minds. Okay, it's always there. It's constantly nagging at us. And we always in the moment with that thing. It's the only thing that we speak about. We speak about what is delusional, what is solulu, the solution, and understanding the term, what delulu is, the solulu means, taken within its context. We spoke about glaze, what glazing is, beefing somebody up more than, amping somebody up more than they need to. We spoke about aura, and in the wellness world as well, we speak a lot about aura, energy, that there are different colors to different auras. All that is part of it. Aura can be interpreted as the level of confidence. It's energy. Okay, and we believe that everything is energy. As physics says, energy cannot be created nor destroyed, but it can only be transformed from one thing to another. So from one form to another. So it's all about that. What's the aura? You can go off lost aura and take an L, or you can add 1,000 aura and be a very good main character. and be good to others if you're doing it to others. All right. And now we learned of what a canon event is. It's a traumatic event that we grow from, we develop from. And it helps develop character, it helps develop resilience, it helps us to grow vertically, unilaterally, everywhere. Always we grow. All right. Now, when we spoke about NPC just being somebody who follows and just staying on script. Where did those things come from? So when we say NPC behavior, remember you said, no, that's just typically NPC behavior, right? So it's doing or saying, and we repeat it again, anything predictable, scripted stuff. Like you have no inner monologue. Now that's a new term for some of us. A new term, but we do it all the time. Talking to yourself. That's what's in your head about yourself. That's what inner monologue is. Okay? Sometimes they say, oh, inner monologue is just negative. It comes out as us being a negative person. It's this how we speak to ourselves within our minds, within our little voice. That's our inner monologue. And if we sit and we allow ourselves a moment of awareness, some of us cannot sit still at all. We are very uncomfortable with that. Also is because we cannot go quiet. We cannot go still because we're afraid of being quiet for ourselves. We're afraid of hearing what we're saying to ourselves. Because in the quiet of the moment, the inner voices are extremely loud. It's extremely loud. And we're afraid to listen to that. Excuse me. NPCR is another term. We're talking about NPC, background character words now, okay? NPCR fit. NPCR response. It means basic and it's generic. Now, generic is, for example, those of us who take meds. They are the brand names for meds and they are the generic things. They're all the same thing. It's the same ingredients, the same materials, everything. They just add on a label to it. Nike and all those things, they add on a thing. Sometimes all those things make in the same factory. They go off on one line to be labeled with the logo of a brand, and they go off on another line to be made as a normal sneakers. They call it generic because it fits the one kind of mold, all right? And the generic is mostly much, much cheaper than the brand, all right? So it's generic because it's all the same. Remember we spoke about scripted, right? It follows the same thing, the same narrative. And it's also a side character. So someone not leading the story, they can be self-aware. Although I mentioned earlier, they lack a level of self-awareness. But their level of self-awareness is, I'm in my side character era. I am on the sidelines. Some people like to say, I don't like to be in the forefront. I like to be behind the scenes. Sometimes it's an excuse because they're afraid to put themselves out there. So they say, I'm in my side character era. That's what they mean. I'm an NPC. I am not out there. What else talk about NPC? And as we mentioned before, they're an extra. So they're on the sidelines. In case something happens to the main character, whoever, they're prop, basically. So other things that they talk when you're talking about the main character syndrome, they talk about lore, Lore. Now that is used in a lot of Shakespearean times and things like that. But lore is your backstory. So they say, drop the lore. Tell me what happens. Just like, what's the tea? What's the tea? It's gossip. What's going on with that? What's happening? Or that's so lore means that explains a lot. And they talk about plot armor and character development arc and POV. A lot of times we see, my daughters had to tell me what POV meant. Because every time you go on TikTok or on one of these things, you see in POV and then like, what is POV? What is POV? It means point of view. Sometimes it doesn't make any sense to me. But it says point of view because it's my point of view. It's how I see things. It's from my my impression of things. So it's a POV. It is used to frame you as the main character. So POV, you just unlocked a new level. A new level mostly means about in gaming things, okay? So it talks about the person writing, who that person is the character in the story. So there is a lot of words and a lot of things that come about that it can seem overwhelming to us because it's really like a whole new course because it's something new. It's a new language that we're learning. Mindset words, for example, they say unserious, refusing to stress. I'm being so unserious about this. The main character doesn't spiral because they're always in control. All right. You haven't ever heard they say, be so for real. Yeah, be so for real. It's actually a term, be so for real. They call it out the illusion. You think you're the main character? Be so for real. In a way, it can be putting on somebody or criticizing somebody. And the core, what do you think core means? Core is essential, like the core idea is central to something. It's your identity. It's your aesthetic, it's your identity. They say ballet core or word core, romanticizing equals building your core. It's kind of like a delusional or fantasizing or things like that. You're building up your core, you're building up your narrative, you're building up your identity. So there is a lot of things that talks about what is the main character. So let's give us another thing on main character. Energy. It's a lot of we spoke also about agency when I spoke with regards to following your purpose, following what's your vision or what you want it to be. So agency is your ability to make choices, to be able to actually affect what happens in your life. As I say to myself, create your life the way you want it to be. Okay? Creating your life is the opposite of feeling that life just happens to you. No agency, for example, somebody who has no agency or no priority, no vision of where they want to go to, feel they have no purpose. They will say, school sucks, work sucks, I'm bored, nothing I do matters. In the negative. I'm just an NPC waiting to happen or waiting for the day to end. Okay, I'm just an NPC. But it's an NPC. Remember, NPC is something I just stand in the background, right? They have no plot or no impact in the story. However, someone with agency would say, school's boring. So I'm starting a club. I'm talking to that new creed. I'm using free period to work on some stuff on my Roman Empire. Remember what Roman Empire is? So it could be the thing that you're obsessed about. So your Roman Empire could be your vision of where you want to be, as well as allowing somebody to live, give somebody else priority in everything that goes on in your life because it triggers you so much. So you decide that. And I can change stuff. Or if you can change stuff, you're being putting agency in your character. And when we say agencies, AGENCY. We know agency, which is like an organization, right? But that's another meaning for it too. But where does that word come from? Psychology and sociology together means they talk a lot about having agency. It means you see yourself as someone who acts, not just someone who gets acted on. You're the player with the controller, not the background character. So you're a person of action, not just a person of talk. You just talk or repeat the same things over and over again. You say something, you plan something, you do it, you act upon it. That's what agency is from. But how does that connect with main character syndrome? Because main character energy is believing you have agency, okay? Believing that you can make a difference and that you can put action to something and make a change. More or less like cause and effect. Where you romanticizing your life works because you're choosing to direct your own scene instead of letting it happen to you. So examples of agency in real life and in shortened term it will be IRL. So if you see the children type in their chat IRL, it will be in real life, or FR will be for real. Okay. So someone with no agency will say, I failed because the teacher hates me. They are always the victim. Always the victim. That is main character syndrome. They are always the victim. Someone else with agency will say, I failed because I did not study. Next time I'm going to I'm going to ask the teacher to retake whatever other and or whatever options are there for me so I can change how I prepare. So now you're seeing how can I change my story as opposed to that happened to me because of that someone did this to me. Everything is happening on the external of you. It's happening to you. Okay? So that's what main character syndrome is. Everything is happening to you as opposed to you doing something, doing a cause, and then an effect happens from it. Or you'll say, nobody talks to me. I went to the party and nobody spoke to me. Okay. Someone with agency would say, I went to the party, no one was talking to me. So I walked up to the new kid and I spoke to them. You did something. A problem. You got a solution for the problem. The Lulu is the solution. There we go. You got a solution for the problem and you went and you worked on it. You acted upon it. All right. So that is worst case. And or sometimes you see a worst case as it's being awkward, and it became a canon event because you did something. You actually felt a little traumatized by being left outside, but you used that emotion and that moment to change the script. All right. To not allowing yourself to feel like a victim. Another thing, all of us are always on our phones. We can say, my phone controls me. Oh my God. Someone else with agency say, I'm turning off TikTok. I'm turning them off, all those notifications, and I choose when I open it. Or I'm going to take a day off digital. I'm going to go unplugged for one day of the week. Or you can also say, by 7 o'clock, I'm going to set settings on my phone that by 7 o'clock, no calls coming to me. I have accept no calls. I don't go on Instagram. I don't go on, and that is my family time. You control your narrative. The narrative is not happening to you. But for young people, why does it matter so much? Especially for teens. For teens, their brain is literally developing the agency circuits right now. Remember, the agency circuits are developing that narrative, that self-identity. So they're practicing making small choices now. What you wear, how you wear it, who you talk to, when you talk to that person, where you go, what fashion trends you follow, what music you listen to, what events you go to, what events you must go to, what outfits you must wear, on what days as well. No, it trains them to feel in control because they have to adult later. Because a lot of now how we do implement or make decisions, how we do decision making at our age right now is a direct result or consequence or effect of our training before. Some of us are lousy at decision making because we were not taught to be independent and make good decisions when we were younger. So sometimes when the young people are making these decisions, say, oh, you think you're big? They are going through this crisis right now of forming their identity, understanding how to make decisions. And our role as adults is not to judge, not to criticize, but to guide them. To guide them. Okay? How they wear their hair, how they do their hair. All those things are important for them to be able to make big decisions later on, like what college they go to, what jobs they take on, what relationships they engage in, or what relationships they let go of and how soon, or how they respond to breakups and friendships and relationships and all the other things, big canon events that go on in their everyday lives. What we need to avoid, though, or the trap we might get ourselves in, agency does not equal to control over everything. That's a big difference. To be micromanaging over everything and over everybody, that is not agency. That's just being a manipulator and being a control freak. These are two different things. Okay? You can't control if it rains or if someone likes you back. Someone likes you back, you love that person. The person doesn't like you back. It hurts like hell, I know. It hurts like so you have to figure out now, take agency and decide now, what am I going to do about that? Because in relationships, all friendships require reciprocity, require respect, require effort, require consideration. So you decide, am I going to be an NPC and stay in that person's background and feel scorned and bitter every time? Or do I take agency and step out, step back, and create my own, be my character in my own role, which I should be? Okay, which I should be. So agency is controlling your response. Like plot armor isn't real, but choosing your next move is. Okay? So each agency is realizing you're holding the controller in gaming terms. You might not be able to pick the level, but you pick how you're going to play it. Life happens. We cannot control what happens all the time. But when we are in the moment, we can step outside of it and observe what's going on and able to respond as opposed to react. It's easier to react, and it takes everything within us to respond. But that is also character building. And that is what the teenagers are going through that period of time. Oh my God, I'm getting ahead of myself. I thought this is such an interesting topic. But right now we're going to stop for a break from our sponsors. Remember, the Lulu is a Solulu and Canon events that's going on right now. This topic right now is a Canon event for the youth effect in terms of bridging the gap within the generations. You stay tuned for the next awesomeness of character and main character syndrome is. Remember, you're looking at the youth effect, and stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Running a radio station shouldn't be chaos. It should be simple, smart, and professional. With Joan Premium, your entire week schedule is beautifully organized and easy to manage. Real-time accuracy keeps your listeners in sync with every show. Your visitors and audience sees the right schedule every time, wherever they are. They can even choose different time zones. From analytics to social media and native app integration, Joan Premium is the professional tool your station deserves. You're never alone. We provide priority support for active license users. We're building a community. Connect with broadcasters worldwide through our Joan Community Hubs. Choose your plan, annual flexibility, or lifetime freedom. Get Joan Premium today. www.gndenterprisesinc.com or call 877-698-9894 for more information.
Thank you for being there with us. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So we were talking about main character syndrome versus healthy character development, main character, healthy main characters. Okay. What would it be? What would it be to have a healthy character development? Think about it. Main character energy. You start off your own thing, and you are writing the script. Okay? You are writing the script. It's not anybody else. Like, let me give an example. Um, Main character. We're going to the beach. You want to go to the beach. You want to do something. You want to do an event. And for you, you're waiting for everybody else to call you to offer your right to go. Well, this may not be the best thing, but yeah, you're calling people to go, but you're not considerate of what their plans are. And when any of those who say they cannot come, you start criticizing them or bad mouthing. No, why? Or that is one scenario. Tell me what you think, which one will be the main character syndrome, one having main character syndrome or the other one having healthy main character development. The other one going to the asking around to go to the beach or wherever they want to go to, and they don't want to go, and you said, okay, that's fine. That's fine. We'll go another time, or you enjoy what you're doing. I will go and hang out. What do you think that one is? Main character, healthy main character, or main character syndrome? Which one? One, main character syndrome, upset that the others don't want to go to the beach, or healthy main character, offer them, okay, I wish you best, whatever it is that you're doing, I wish you success with it, and I'll just go ahead, do my thing. One, right? One is syndrome, and two is healthy main character, where you go off, you do your thing, and the story is not entirely about you. So in being the main character, to have a healthy thing about it, you have the spotlight. It could be earned, but it could be delusional. Okay, this is where main character syndrome comes in. As we mentioned, it comes from acting like life is your movie, excuse me, and everyone else is an NPC. Remember what we said NPC was? Okay, the not important character, the ones that are on the side. In a best case scenario, we are both the protagonist energy and the main character energy in our story. We are growing from our lessons, and we know we are growing from our lessons. The worst case scenario puts us in the syndrome part, where the main character with zero protagonist energy. We're just there. All right? It's just everything is about us. All vibes, no energy. Plot armor isn't real. There is no plot. There is nothing going on for us in our favor. That is what the difference is. And a lot of us have these experiences of people in our life. We see a lot of things being posted on I had this thing posted on my status not too long ago. And okay, sometimes when people post things on their status, not because they're going through things, sometimes it could be, sometimes it's just something that came to mind and they post it. So something did come to mind and I posted it. Know your place in people's lives. And something we always say I don't know if they say it in all Caribbean countries, but I know in my country, in Dominica, one of the things that we say is know your cat's place and your dog's position. Okay, know your cat's place and your dog's position. Don't be too presumptuous to think you are valued in everybody's life. And that's what a person with a main character syndrome has. They believe the world is revolving around them and everything is about them. And they don't feel that They think that they are the number one for everybody and that people should act as such, fall in line, because that is what they do and that is what they expect. So let's just take a minute to think about that, especially where it comes in for the young people in their particular time of their lives. It is something that is very important, and sometimes it can come naturally to some people based on their experiences, because young people, or we all, or all our characters are really trained in the first 3 to 6 years of our lives. Okay? And a lot of it is dependent on our primary caregivers. So everything that develops after that is going to trigger us on some memory or the other about whether we develop narcissistic behaviors or whether we develop healthy characters. But sometimes we have to reach a part in our life that we cannot blame what happened to us 45 years ago. We have to be able to hold our story, be the creator of our narratives, and be able to mold it and create it to how we want our story to be, how we want to enjoy the life that we live, not living in traumatic events over and over and over again. It's like having an aha moment. What is your canon moment where something, you have a traumatic event and you make it lip you through in changing everything for you to the positive? You know, it's a twist. We have to be able, coming down now to us managing our emotions, understanding who we are, understanding the naming the emotions that we are going through. If we cannot name something, we do not know how to deal with it because we do not know what we are dealing with. For example, words like nice, okay, good. How are you? I'm good. That doesn't say anything. I'm nice, things well, says nothing. So when you don't want to tell somebody something, you say, oh, I'm good, I'm okay. But for me, if I'm dealing with any of the children or any other person who I'm close with, if I am interested, say, well, good, nice, okay, doesn't say much. Name the emotion, name what you're going through. And it's the same thing that the kids right now are going through those periods. A child's mind is not fully developed until they're 27 years old. Okay? So before that, all through those periods going about a heavy emotional development, psychological development, and it's our responsibility to mold that. Now, if we are not healed from all our triggers to make them turn them now into canon events, how are we going to be able to help the young people? Because anything a young person does, if we are not healed from our own situations, anything our children do, we're going to see ourselves reflected in them. It may never be so, but that's what we're going to see reflecting back to us because that's the lens which we have on our triggers. Okay? So we have to go through in identifying where we are at. Are we going to have main character syndrome, that the world revolves around us, that we are also the victim too, if we have to look at it on the other end? Or are we going to develop a healthiness in our narratives, in creating the life in where we want it to be, in having solutions, having options? This is what's happening. Okay, so then I can do this. This is what's happening. Okay, I feel bad. I feel hurt. However, this is what I'm going to, it's a response, not a reaction. A lot of times reactions get us in trouble as opposed to developing a response from the situations that's going on with us. Okay? So this is one of the things I really want us to think about, how we're going to handle things that gotta happen. Or we can manage people. The loudest, who wants to be the loudest, who wants to have the most sense of attention, who everything is about them story. We all have these people in our lives. Well, what are we to them? Are we the NPCs in the background, the supporting actors? Are we the supporting actors to help them have a healthy main character identity? Or are we going to be NPCs where we're just supporting that unhealthy behavior? We are just followers, and even in our own lives as well, because we have no identity, we have no character, we have no flair. It's all about somebody else, not about us. Okay. So as we're coming down to the end of this interesting, it was very interesting for me learning all of this. And I hope that I was able to relay it to you and spread out the definitions between main character syndrome as opposed to where it stems up from confidence as opposed to being delusional. Okay, and what it is to be delusional, to be in your caught up in your own sense of self, as opposed to having healthy confidence. And this is what I am, this is who I am, not for externalities, but for myself. Feeling of what's coming up from the inside of me. I'm not doing it for other people, I'm doing it for myself. I have nothing to prove to other people, but I only have something to prove to me. Okay? So in all, remember you are looking at the youth effect, and you can find us. You can look, if you don't get time to look at everything or you want to share it, remember you can always look at the replay to watch each little part that you want to focus on and to understand more fully. Or you can also DM me at 929-803-6356. You want to get some more information about it. You can also email me at the youtheffect767@gmail.com. You can also send us your ideas of what stories you like to see, or which people in your life you want to feature. We all have these people in our lives. You can send a critique. If there are areas that I can improve on, I'm open to healthy criticism for areas of development and growth. So feel free to engage, feel free to interact, and watch us every Monday night. Be back here every Monday night to look at what interesting topic we have for you tonight. So remember, what is the main character syndrome? Are we having protagonist energy, which is being proactive? Are we having main character vibes? Main character vibes is being having the syndrome, the world revolves around you. What is it? What you decide what it is that you need. Remember, agency is what is real. Being proactive, having solutions to your things, not just plot armor, just having things written down, okay? You decide who you want to be in your story. Are you going to be an NPC, or are you going to be a healthy main character? Everything that you in your life, you create your story. The world is your stage, and it's your responsibility to determine what actor you're gonna be in your story or in your plot, where you're gonna be, and what value you're gonna give other people in your story. Whether you take it to be positive or negative, your story is still always about you. You will always be the main character in your story. I'm hoping that you will find yourself as a protagonist, finding solutions and everything else, and not being the narcissist to everybody else, or as well being so self-absorbed that you believe the world revolves around you. And if we have people like that in our lives, how do we manage it other than making it a big drama all the time? We also can control how much we allow people into our space and how much we allow people to disturb our peace. So I'm going to leave you with that. Main character syndrome. Confidence, or is it delusion? What is it that you want? What energy, what aura you want yours to be? Delusion or confidence. And with this, I'm going to say it's a wrap. Have a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful week. I wish you blessings. I wish you good things, blessings, favor upon you for the week. And thank you so much for spending your hour and a half with us here at the Youth Effect. Remember, your life is about you, and you create the life that you want. You have to decide if you want to live the life you create or enjoy the life you live and how you want to go about doing it. But you will always be that main character in your story. Remember, you can watch us on Facebook, on YouTube, on Instagram, and on SBE Radio Caribbean as well. Okay? Did I say Instagram? Yes, I said Instagram. And with that, I'm going to say thank you so much. I'm Kathy Robinson Sayan, and I'm going out. See you next week. Have a good one. Good night.
Yeah, Woodlands, we back with another one for the youths in them. Yeah, young, brilliant minds, future in sight, got the power to make change, make the world ignite. Let nobody say you can't achieve your dreams are seeds, sow and just watch them grow. But you gotta believe in the youth effect. We're raising up the youth effect. Can't hold us down. The youth effect, we breaking ground. The youth effect, they gonna hear us roar. Educate, we get the key, unlock the potential. A lesson every day, knowledge essential. Standing tall, walking proud, let your voice be heard. Unite together as one, spread the love with every word. The youth effect, we're raising up. The youth effect, can't hold us down. The youth effect, we breaking ground. The youth effect, they gonna hear us roar. Educate, we get the key, unlock the potential. A lesson every day, knowledge essential. Standing tall, walking proud, let your voice be heard. Unite together as one, spread the love with every word. The youth effect, we're raising up. The youth effect, can't hold us down. The youth effect, we breaking ground. The youth effect, they gonna hear us roar. Create, initiate, push through, no limits. Go ahead and live it up. Respect, positivity, you on your way. Break down walls, build bridges.